Well, good morning. I'm Brent Adams here with your Rural Strong Morning Ag Report on this Monday, August 28th, the 240th day of 2023. 172 bushels per acre of corn and 49.7 bushels per acre of beans are the Pro Farmer National Corn and Soybean estimates for the 2023 crop. Pro Farmer editor Brian Grady has the highlights.
Ohio's kind of a hit or miss state, but this year it was a real rock star. And I thought that the Ohio corn crop was the best crop that we saw on the eastern side through the week. We were in many fields where it really showed the stress. And just over the past 5 days since I've been gone on crop tour, ears were hanging in some of those fields and stuff like that. So a crop that was really pushed hard over the past week here.
Of course, these numbers are a snapshot in time, and the final yield can and will change between now and when harvest takes place.
You know, what's surprising is some of these beans, except for when you get into the moderate soil, they're still holding in there. They're still looking pretty green, but, you see those pockets out there. And I think as we go forward, if we don't get some rain, those spots are only going to get bigger.
That's longtime scout Brian Kaufman from Iowa, who says an early harvest may be on the horizon. Mike Zuzolo, president of Global Commodity Analytics, talked about his initial reaction to the harvest predictions.
Well, I think it'll jump out at the trade. I think the trade was very much like a bloodhound on the scent with the soybeans and the yield dropping. But I would say a week ago, right before the tour started, I heard a lot of talk and a lot of chatter about how the corn was already made, the yield wasn't going to change much. And then as the tour progressed into this past week, especially midweek when we got into Iowa, Minnesota, and parts of Nebraska, the trade started to realize that we are looking at a situation where the corn yield can indeed be hurt. I think these numbers did show that when you look at the range of yield from 170.3 to 173.7.
Zuzolo also talked about the soybean numbers.
Soybeans are even more wide open now in terms of yield potential loss than what the trade was probably thinking at the end of the week. And so when I look at 48.7 to 50.7, if you're on the low end and you're down at 48.7, you're going to have to ration a lot of demand to not be in a 150, 170, 175 carryover number at this stage of the game for 23-24 soybean ending stocks.
That was Mike Zuzolo of Global Commodity Analytics. Well, the western leg of the Pro Farmer Crop Tour scouted corn and soybean fields in western Iowa during day 3, which was last Thursday. Leader Chip Flory said they covered 3 districts in western Iowa. The corn yield estimate in District 1 was 182.5 bushels an acre, almost even with last year. The corn District 4 yield estimate reached 168.7 bushels an acre, down almost 7% from 2022. The corn District 7 yield estimate was 184.8 bushels, 6% above last year. Flory talked about what they saw in Iowa cornfields.
Yeah, I saw a no meat sandwich today. Really good stuff in the south, good stuff in the north, but we were missing stuff in the middle of the western part of the state. It was like a donut hole there in west central Iowa. Not a lot of good to talk about there. Well, a lot of the problem was with the grain length in crop district 4. So we were basically steady in northwest Iowa, down 6.7% in west central, and up 6.4% in the southwest part of the state.
The soybean yield estimate in District 1 was 1,137.2 pods in a 3-foot by 3-foot square, a 4% increase from last year's tour. The District 4 soybean estimate was 1,120.3 pods, down 11% from 2022. The District 7 estimate was 1,170.2 pods, down 4% from last year. He says soybeans followed a similar pattern to corn.
Yes, absolutely. We had a 4.4% increase in the pods in Crop District 1. In Crop District 4, we were down 11%. And then we were down 4.4% in Crop District 7 on the pod counts. The white mold, it concerns me going forward. But as far as the moisture and the drought stress on the crop, I don't feel like we were watching a bean crop die because of drought.
Western Leg crop scout Brent Judish says while the corn crop isn't bad, he thought it would be better than what they found.
We sample all the counties on the western border of Iowa till we get to Minnesota. Then we take a right, kind of come into Spencer from the north. We had 23 stops today. Corn on the average 178. I expected better based upon the weather they've had most of the year and the rains they've had late. They had some heavy rains here recently. The issue, I think, is it just came too late to really make the corn better.
While the kernel count was good, he said Iowa cornfields were missing ear count and ear length. They didn't find much in the way of pest or disease pressure on a very hot day.
We did run some green snap here and there. One field, we actually had 12% green snaps. It wasn't a big area. So there's a couple fields, I guess. But it wasn't rampant, no. It wasn't a major issue. Only got to 98 with a heat index of like 106. Yesterday we had 105 with a heat index of like 113. But the only negative is I do corn all day long. It's a lot warmer in that cornfield than it is outside. When you get in there, there's no breeze.
Also this morning, the Renewable Fuels Association sent a letter to Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan, blasting the agency's Science Advisory Board. The RFA accuses the panel of making misleading and unfounded claims about corn ethanol's impact on greenhouse gas emissions. In draft commentary sent to Regan, the board attempted to downplay the climate benefits of corn ethanol and recommended the EPA conduct more extensive research on ethanol's carbon footprint. Says RFA President and CEO Jeff Cooper, quote, the overwhelming evidence of scientific analysis and data clearly show that cornstarch ethanol significantly reduces GHG emissions relative to the gasoline it replaces. We adamantly disagree with the SAB's statement, saying the best available science suggests there are minimal or no climate benefits related to substituting corn ethanol for gasoline. Cooper also points out that no scientists with biofuels industry experience were invited to participate in the working group when putting the board together. Also this week, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says Congress will deliver a farm bill, but not likely in September. Roll call says McConnell told the Kentucky Farm Bureau that Congress is running out of working days on the legislative calendar before the current law expires on September 30th. McConnell is one of the highest-ranking members of Congress to admit the timeline for a new farm bill is shifting past September. When asked about reauthorizing the 5-year farm bill, McConnell says, quote, we'll figure it out, unquote. While the current bill runs out on September 30th, it looks like the new deadline for farm legislation will be December 31st. On January 1st, some American farm policies will revert to 1940s era controls on production and costly price supports. If the farm bill does get pushed to 2024, a 1-year extension becomes likely as it's a presidential election year and both parties will battle for congressional control. And finally, this morning, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has announced its latest efforts to help financially distressed borrowers in Farm Service Agency loan programs. More from USDA Radio's Rod Bain.
Since August of last year, the Agriculture Department has issued financial assistance to more than 20,000 distressed borrowers of Farm Service Agency loans, $1.15 billion in assistance, including this recent announcement.
We're announcing that we will provide qualifying distressed guaranteed loan borrowers with assistance similar to what was already provided to those distressed direct loan borrowers back last fall.
FSA Administrator Zach Ducheneau says this is part of efforts to keep borrowers farming and improve USDA's approach to loan and financing services in the long term. Additional information about program applications, qualifications, and tax implications are available through local Farm Service Agency offices or online at farmers.gov.
Well, be sure to keep up with agriculture industry newsmakers, hot button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music on the Tractors and Troubadours podcast. A new episode comes out each Friday and can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We also invite you to join us daily on Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station, found at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. We bring you agriculture programming as well as the best in true country music, western swing and bluegrass with a little southern rock and inspirational music. Again, the place to find it all is ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. Well, I'll be reporting live the rest of the week from the 2023 Farm Progress Show, which kicks off tomorrow in Decatur, Illinois. If you happen to be going to the show, look for our mobile studio set up in the AGCO lot, which is lot number 333. I'll be there with the latest farm equipment from Fendt, Massey Ferguson, Heston, and Gleaner Combines, which is celebrating its 100th anniversary. We'll make it a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow for another Rural Strong Morning Ag Report here on Steve Shetler Media.